Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Sunday Messages, as always. And I'm very excited for our discussion today. It's going to be so good. And I've received a lot of questions. There's been a lot of discussion. I've received a ton of DMs, and I just want to hash out all of the details with you here in this video, or if you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to tell you all the nitty-gritty details. I'm going to give all my insight, we're going to go over the modules a little bit more in depth, right? It's kind of a little bit too much for me to cover in a few Instagram posts. So I'm going to be just going deep with you on SLUT MAGIC today. So if you're interested, stick around. Maybe it'll turn into a riff or some fun story times that you want to listen to. Or if you're actually interested in the program itself, that's totally cool, whatever. But we're going to talk about all things SLUT MAGIC, okay? So the first thing that I want to discuss is how it's structured. So it is structured in the same way that I've structured Money Magic. So it's ever growing, it's ever evolving. It's going to keep growing over time. And once you're in, you're in. So how it works is there's an online portal on my website, like there's different membership areas. So SLUT MAGIC has its own membership area. And then once you pay, you're in. You get all future updates, anything else that I add to it, you get. And like I said, it's going to keep growing. So the advantage to getting in sooner is the price point. So the sooner you get in, the better the price point. But it's going to be available for you to get into whenever you want, and you get access to everything. So it's not a container that has a start date and a stop date. We're starting, and the sooner you're in, the more live calls you will be able to attend. That's basically it. But then it's going to continue over time. Like I literally have a bunch of modules listed. I've even more modules in my phone that I didn't even show yet or talk about yet. So I'm very excited for everything that's coming. I have a surprise that I'm going to be giving for Christmas in SLUT MAGIC. There's so much. I have never been so excited for something in my entire life. People are already inside. It is going to be so much fun. And it is going to be the funnest, the sexiest. It's going to be delicious, and I'm really excited. If you're interested and if you're planning on being there, we're going to have a really good time. So I'm super stoked about it. So yes, once you buy in, you're in. You get all future updates, you get the membership portal, all of that good stuff. Here's the deal with payment plans. If you do a payment plan, unless you're splitting it in half, you can get into the membership area, but I digress. If you're doing an extended payment plan, you will get access to the membership site after we're all squared up. So after you have completed payments, then we'll let you into the portal. That way it doesn't get messy. Okay, it just keeps it clean. It really helps me and my team. It keeps everything nice and organized and distinguished. So that's how the extended payment plan works. I also have a little disclaimer on the website as well about how that works. But yes, pay in full, immediate access. If you have a payment plan, you get the live calls. You definitely get access to live calls, but you will have to wait to get into the replays where all the replays are at and everything until after payment's fully completed. Okay, so that's the technical stuff. Let's go into the modules here. Let me bring them up. It's going to be good. It's going to be real good. Okay. So the first call that we have is next week. So at the time that I'm recording this, it's going to be either on the 2nd or 3rd of November, but I haven't nailed down a final date and time yet. So 2nd or 3rd of November, we're going to be having our first call, and it's going to be all about the real foundational pieces. So we're going to be talking about self-concept, boundaries, intentions, just laying a really good foundation for everything else that we have coming up. Because a lot of what I'm teaching in this is not going to work, and it's not going to be effective, and it's not going to go well if you're not rock solid in your boundaries, if you don't understand your chemical composition. We're going to be talking about brain chemistry. We're going to be talking about biology. And if you're struggling to understand your body, understand your boundaries, and communicate them, then the rest of what I'm teaching is going to be more difficult. So we're covering a lot of foundational pieces that are really, really, really important for everything else to come about. So that's coming next week, unless you're listening to this podcast way later. Then it's already out and you can get access to it right now. Okay, so the next module is called Talk Dirty to Me. And let me also add, these are not necessarily in order. So I'm not saying I'm going to do these one right after the other. It's whenever I feel inspired to do the next module, I'm going to. So I don't have set dates for for when these are going to be dropping yet. I'll know when the module pings me, and I'm dripping this content out. So we're just going to be going through the modules. I'm not cramming it into 3 weeks. I'm not shoving it into a set amount of time. It's just going to be a steady drip for the next few months. So we have lots of calls to come, and intermittently I'll be doing Q&As just whenever I feel it's time for me to do a Q&A with the group. Okay, so talk dirty to me. This is all things communication. This is written, vocal, verbal, with someone, by yourself, inner dialogue, all things communication around sexual expression and desire. We are going to be covering in that module. And this is one of my favorite things. If you're an astrology nerd, I have my Black Moon Lilith in Gemini in the 8th house. So needless to say, I'm a talker, okay? I'm a talker, and communication is a really big deal. It is one of my favorite things. And we're going to be talking about sexting as well. So like I said, whether it's written communication, like writing eroticas for yourself, or if it's something where you're having a sexy conversation with your partner, we're going to be talking all about the energetics, all about getting into the energy, all about, navigating awkwardness and just feeling human stuff around communication. I've got you. I have so got you covered on all of these pieces. So you're going to be very comfortable using your voice. And this is also going to tie really heavily into future things if I end up, which I'm sure I will, talking more about power dynamics, talking a bit more about more play and more kink, then that's something where the communication pieces, the boundary pieces are the foundational layer that are going to set up future modules, which is why it's going to be an ever-growing container, because there's things that I'm going to be building on with you, and you're going to need to be set up with your communication, your comfort, and personal expression, and being really, really clear on what is a yes and what is a no for you, and being vocal about that in order to get into some of the more of the advanced stuff that I want to touch on. Okay? So we also have Touch My Body, is what I've called the next module that I'm covering. This is about self-pleasure. So one of the things that I've noticed in my own life, in my own relationships, is that what you're doing with yourself is going to be reflected in your relationship. And so whether you be single and you're just setting the energetic field, setting the energetic tone for the relationship that you have oncoming, or if it's something where maybe you're getting frustrated by what's happening in your relationship now, well, this would be the place that we want to venture so that you clean up the energetic field and you're able to receive that from another, because it's going to start to bleed into your world, even in the current relationship that you have. So it doesn't matter if you're single, it doesn't matter if you're taken, it's just reflection. It is just energetic reflection. So it's going to be a great piece no matter what. And it's going to be sensual things, different practices for you to tap into. We're going to be talking all about sensuality and getting into the zone yourself. Okay, then we have the most sought after topic on this list, or the most, I don't know, this module has something to it that people are very interested in. It is the Holy Plastic module. And I was talking about this a lot on my Instagram stories. And this is all about energetic body modification. So last year, I made the decision that 2022, I was going to grow my boobs with energetics alone. And the reason why is because I didn't want to do a fat transfer. I wasn't comfortable with that. Just the risks didn't make sense for me. And the breast implants, I'm allergic to silicone. So that medical grade silicone that they use for like contact lenses and different, medical equipment, I have a wild inflammatory response to it. And so it's totally out of the question for me. Now, let me add this caveat. One of the things that I am going to be talking about is, if you do want a procedure, this is what I would do energetically in order to prepare for it. This is how I would clean it up. This is how I would address it, and make sure that you're rock solid in all of this before you actually go into getting a procedure. So we're going to be talking about that as well. But this is really going to be the ultimate energetic body modification class, basically. And like I said, I want every teaching to feel like a mini masterclass within SLUT Magic. So I'm sure it's going to be a pretty lengthy class. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, and there's a lot of pieces. And I've been working on this for almost a year now. I've been really diving deep into energetic body modification. And I'm sure that if you were on my Instagram, if you look at the SLUT Magic highlight, I have a whole series of photos of before and afters. Maybe I'll have my editor add some before and afters here, just so you can see the differences. And I'm gonna be sharing more photos inside the container that I can't put on the internet right now. So it's been wild. So the desires of my heart were to have wild, outrageous, crazy big boobs. That was my dream. That was my desire. And so I decided, you know what? I know that I can do this with energetics, and boy, I was right. I was definitely right. The results have been absolutely insane. It is not just an optical illusion. It is not just weight gain. It's not that. It's not that. And yes, I have had men ask me if I had any procedures done. It has been crazy. It has been crazy. And so I'm really excited to teach that. I know people are really curious about it. And it sounds unbelievable only because we have been, we've been taught collectively, we've been sucked into these beliefs that your body is how it is and it can't change without some type of medical procedure without some type of intervention, and fuck that noise. Let's do it all energetically. That's what I say. So I've become living, breathing proof of this. It is absolutely wild. And I'm really excited to teach this. Okay. The next one is one of my favorite topics. The module is called Deep Throat, and it is all things blowjobs. Now, understand that I'm only going to be talking about fellatio. Okay. I am not going to be talking about the other kind. I don't know how graphic I can be on YouTube right now. So I want to make sure that I'm not getting crazy. But let me just say that is going to be for people who have relationships with men. You get what I'm saying? Okay. So male anatomy is what we're going to be discussing, but it's going to be more than that. It's going to be a lot of energetics. It's going to be navigating different pieces. It's going to be getting into some more advanced techniques. It's going to be a lot. That one, I have a sneaking suspicion that that's also going to be a pretty lengthy class as well, just because there's a lot to say, there's a lot to navigate, there's a lot to explore. And I also want to mention that you can walk into that with any level of experience or desire or perspective, and I'm sure you'll find something valuable. If it's not within the strategy and technique, then it will definitely be within the energetic pieces of this. So there's going to be something for everyone in that, in terms of, just how deep you want to take it for yourself, no pun intended. Okay, so that is going to be a really, really, really fun module. The next one is Pleasure Anatomy with Dr. Kelsey. So for those of you who listen to the podcast, you know that I have been doing pelvic floor physical therapy. I've graduated since I started in May, but my pelvic floor physical therapist and I really hit it off. We just got along great. And one day we were talking about fellatio and anatomy, and we were talking about throat muscles, and we were just talking about all sorts of things. And I said, you know what? I think it would be really, really great if you did a class with me. And if you came to give us all an anatomy lesson, if you could do a lecture. And she's really excited. And so we have finally decided to collaborate, and she's going to be guest speaking and giving a lecture on all things pelvic floor. And keep in mind, this is relevant for male anatomy and female anatomy. Everyone's got a pelvic floor. And so I'm going to have her cover both. We're going to talk about the throat muscles. We're going to talk about just all things anatomy, all things related to not just your sexual organs and everything, but also other things that the pelvic floor can affect. We're going to be talking about the nervous system because that affects the pelvic floor. There's a lot. The pelvic floor is a big, big, big deal. And this is one of those lectures that I'm really excited about because I just feel like people need to know more about their pelvic floor, period. It doesn't matter what your intention is with it. It doesn't matter if you're having dysfunction or not. It doesn't matter if you're postpartum, prenatal. It doesn't matter. We need to talk pelvic floor. We need to talk about it. Everyone needs to know about it. It's a huge deal. And it involves incontinence issues. It involves all sorts of different sexual functions. And there's so much going on with it. I'm thrilled to have her come and speak. Like, it's going to be fantastic. We're going to have a lot of information. It's going to be really, really, really helpful for so many people I know. And also, just general pelvic floor maintenance, things like that. So it's going to be way more in depth than just taking a sexual tone and angle with it. We're going to be going over a lot of stuff. So that's going to be a big one. Okay. Then we have what I am calling porn star consciousness. So the other thing that I made the decision to really tap into in 2022 was the porn star archetype. So remember, we're thinking about essence, we're thinking energy, we are thinking just connecting to the thread of consciousness that exists there. Right? So in the collective cloud, so to speak, and just tapping into that. And let me tell you, I know there are so many people who talk smack about the porn industry, and there's a lot there, of course, as far as taboos and stigmas and all of that stuff. But man, there is so much wisdom. There is so much medicine there, not in the distorted shadow side of the industry. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking when we take the pure essence of the consciousness around this archetype, there's wisdom, there's medicine, there's deep expression that can take place. There's liberation that can take place. There's just magic in it. And so this is something that I've been playing with a lot, and we are going to have a lot of fun talking about this. So we're going to be going in depth there. Oh, here's another one of my favorite things. Okay, this, I swear to God, Slut Magic is like just a class where we talk about all of my favorite things. We talk boundaries, we talk dirty talk, we talk pleasure, we talk oral fun. Okay, we talk about all sorts of things. And so another module that I came up with, and again, it's going to feel like a mini masterclass, and it is every night is date night. This is where, when people say, yeah, I know people say like to date yourself, but what does that even mean? What is dating yourself? And what is getting into the energy of relationship? And once again, I want to clarify, this is great if you're in a relationship, great if you're not in a relationship, great if you're single and looking, great if you're lone wolf and loving it. Like, it does not matter what is going on. A lot of, or I would say all of these practices, except one, all of these practices are stemming from my experience being single. They didn't come from me being in a bunch of relationships. All of these foundational pieces that I have going on came from me having these experiences solo. And eventually they started to bleed into the relationships that I have in my life and in my world. And then when I really started anchoring in and solidifying more of these pieces, then the relationship that I have in my life right now just completely took off. And this is very near and dear to my heart, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So every night is date night actually came from the first round of Apex. In Apex, one of the optional anchor points is called lovership. And so in Apex, the first time that I did it, I actually came up with this anchor point. I was like, oh, there's something here, there's something here, there's something here. And if you took sub, I tell you, it's literally a 2.5 hour lecture where I tell you the story about my relationship. But that was pivotal. So me getting into that lovership anchor point during Apex radically changed my experience of what people call dating themselves and accessing the energy of relationship. And so it started growing. And not only was that one of the anchor points that I used in the first round, but then I did it again in the second round. And I got even deeper with it, and more came from it. And my relationship improved even more. And now in the third round, it's been the wildest thing. I have not chosen that anchor point deliberately. But what I've realized is I'm in that anchor point every day. I'm doing the lovership anchor point every single day. And my life has just naturally gotten to the point where the energy of lovership is ever present. Like it's not coming and going. It's something that has just woven itself into my day and something that I'm continually tapping into no matter what. And this is where every night is date night actually blossomed from, was just practice and practice and practice and practice. And being in deep practice with myself is where this finally emerged. So I'm very, 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 very excited about that one. Okay, so the next module is called I'm So Hot. On Instagram, I wrote, who cares if you're a 10 if you have the confidence of a 2? And boy, is that true. No amount of beauty can fully override your confidence, period. Confidence will be dominant because it's interconnected in your ability to receive. So if you have low self-concept, low self-esteem, or a poor self-concept rather, low self-esteem, bad self-image, your confidence is tanked, then people can sing your praises and call you beautiful every day, and your ability to receive that and recognize it is going to be dog shit. It is going to be so slim relative to what is available to you. And in the same respect, if the opposite is true, where you are, maybe you don't feel like you're a beauty queen. Oh, it reminds me. Okay, so I once heard this chick say, I might be a 5, but I have the confidence of a 10. And it's funny because her magnetism was way bigger. So it's interesting if you have a 5 with the confidence of a 10, or if you have a 10 with the confidence of a 2, the 5 is going to be more magnetic, without a doubt. And so we're talking all things confidence. So we're going to go deeper into self-concept. In this module, we're going to be talking about self-perception. We're going to be talking about your inner relationship to how you feel about yourself. Just a lot of good things. And so this is where we really start to deviate from the idea that there is an objective standard for beauty, and we go way deeper into like what actually cultivates magnetism within you, what makes you hot. The other title that I wanted to give that module was Cam Girl Confidence, but I chose I'm So Hot. I like that one better, but there are two titles for that. So that's going to be a really, really good one. They're all going to be really good. So let's just be clear about that. And then the other module is it is literally the longest title ever. It took me 2.5 years to figure out how to have cervical orgasms. And so I'm teaching you a much simpler way. That's what I've decided to name that module. And let me tell you a little bit of the background of that, because it definitely matters. Back in 2020, I started exploring this and I was like, I know that women can do this. I've got the equipment, I've got the anatomy, I've got the pieces, I've got the parts. I want to be able to have this experience. And so I got in somewhere that I could learn how to do this. Like it was a class, and the class was good. It was fine. But when we got to the discussion about having cervical orgasms, it was very ceremonial. It was way too unclear. There wasn't very many mechanical pieces or understanding of the bodily technology and how you're really, what you're doing with it. And so while yes, there was like, okay, there was instruction, it was, let me put it this way, it was inefficient. So it's like on one hand, I am a big believer that you can have both. I'm a believer that not only can you have a very deep relationship with your own body, where you can have this deep spiritual connection with yourself, and I also think we can do things efficiently. There's no reason why this particular thing needs to be dragged out forever. And the biggest issue that I had with it was so inefficient that I would avoid it. And so then that ended up dragging out the process because I was like, oh, I want it, but it feels like a chore. Like this isn't pleasurable because the process that I was taught was so fucking dragged out that I didn't want to do it. And so I'm like, no, we can do better. Like I've got the pieces that make sense. And so finally I got to this place where it's like, I'm clear. I know what's going on. I know the anatomy. I know like the phases of development that you want to tap into before you actually start making this a personal practice. And once again, this is one of those things that yes, you can do it alone. Yes, you can do it solo. Yes, you can do it single. And it will absolutely enhance what you have going on in your current sex life. So that being said, we're also going to be talking about the different types of crystal wands, using them. We're going to have a deep understanding of female anatomy and just understanding activating different parts of you. Again, that's also going to be a long one. I can imagine there's probably going to be a lot of questions. We're probably going to have a Q&A after that. There's a lot there as well. So that's going to be a really good one. I'm going to help you understand like how to shop for things, what to shop for, all of that good stuff as well. And yeah. That has been a whole journey for me, and I'm finally in a position where it's like, I've got it. Like there were some pieces of this that just totally clicked, and I'm like, I have a super deep yet efficient way of going about this, and I'm basically teaching you in the way that I wish it would have been taught to me. And in a way where you get to have both. You get to have depth, you get to have efficiency, you get to do this. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I'm very proud of what I've come up with around this topic. All right. So that is all of the modules right now. That's not everything that I'm going over. I have some other modules that I'm definitely going to be adding, but I haven't made them public yet, but they are coming. They're currently in the incubator being cultivated right now. They're growing, they're developing, they're sprouting, and so I will share more soon, but that's what I have for you right this moment. Now, some other pieces and disclaimers that I want to give. Okay, so the first thing is obviously this is 18 and up only. Obviously, you've got to be an adult. Oh, the other thing is I am definitely interested and available for requests. So what I mean is if we're together in the container and I start to notice that there's a topic or a theme that continually comes up, or if you have something that you want me to teach on and it feels aligned, I'll teach it. Like I'm open to your involvement in the container as well. Like if there's something that you really want to know about or that you really want me to teach about, I want this to grow. I want this to expand, and I want the group to just be super fun. I want you to have the time of your life. I want you to feel I want you to feel awesome inside. So that is what I have for you now. I hope you've enjoyed learning all about slut magic in this moment. Once again, details will be in the description box, in the show notes, and that is all. That is all for now. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all later.